When he got jumped, it was Essa and Franny that jumped him, and they stabbed him as well, yeah? When I bumped into Essa and Franny and I asked them what happened, they were telling me that X was being a bully and he was standing over them for like the drug run and whatnot, yeah? And so pretty much this is how it was. The younger boys had their own thing. X, who's my age, had his own thing. But as soon as he ran out, he tried to stand over the younger guys for theirs. This is what the Franny and Essa told me. So they jumped him and they stabbed the hell out of him. When the situation with me broke out in 2016, they went around telling stories. So they had started dramas in a lot of prisons with a lot of people. But they went around and started telling everyone that I ordered them to do it. And I was like, so when I bumped into X at Silverwater, he yelled out to me and he said to me, Uso, you know, I have respect for you and your parents. Thank you very much, Kay. Appreciate you. And he said, why would you order the boys to stab me? And I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And he goes to me, Uso, he goes, Franny and Essa told me that it was you that ordered it. And then this is where I got X. Love you, thank you very much. Hey, I said to him, bro, do you realize when that situation occurred with you, I hadn't even met them yet. I met them after that situation because they came to Goulburn. That's when I met Franny at Lithgow and then I met Essa at Goulburn. And that situation had already happened with you. You know, when X sat there, this bloke smoked so much drugs, he didn't even realize that I was right. It wasn't until I explained it thoroughly to him that he was like, wow, I'm sorry. He was like, for all these years, I've been thinking that it was you that called the order. That was one person. The next person, he's a bloke named Bo Jesse. Hey, I love that dragon. My man. Thank you, JS. Hey, Wayne. Thank you. Love yous. And Bo Jesse is from Macquarie Fields, yeah? This guy, my boy Jimmy Sa took care of him. They were close friends growing up. Love you, Ziggy. And when Bo Jesse came to Goulburn, he got his head jumped on, like from the OC boys, yeah? Whoo, I love that dragon. Yeah, sorry, my management team is telling me try to keep it more PG. He doesn't want me to get kicked off. Alibaba. Anyway, when he got jumped, he had come in to Goulburn by himself, and when I was inside, because I was a sweeper, he got attacked inside the showers, and then I come out, he was pretty effed up, and then Jimmy Sa had saved him from when he got jumped, yeah? Years later, I got told that he joined OC after the situation with me, and I was like, why would he join OC when they jumped him? And then when I finally bumped into, thank you, G, DJ Stan, love you, thank you very much. Well, so when I bumped into this Bo Jesse at Silverwater while we were in Segro, he starts yelling at me because there's a situation that happened between him, Sake, and Birchie, yeah? He stole some things, and then the boys cut his tattoo off him, yeah? His OC tattoo off him. That's another story, but I bumped into him in Segro after he had got that happened to him, and then he started yelling out to me, hey, Pika, I just wanted to talk to you about, you know, the situation between me and you. And I said, what situation? Thank you, Wilhub. Thank you, A1. Oosh. And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, I just wanted to understand why you called the orders for Masi and the boys like to get me when I came to Goulburn. I didn't even know you. And I sit there and I was like, Bo, did you just hear what you said? You answered your own question. He goes, what do you mean, so? You just said that we didn't know each other. And he goes, yeah. I go, so why would I call a shot on you when I don't even know you? And then he sat there and he went quiet. He goes, also, that's what I was thinking. And I go, you idiot. Is that why you joined OC? He goes, yeah, also, they told me that you called the shot. And then when I was at Kempsey, so I was like, all right, all good. If the Peter called the orders, then I'm going to join you to go against him. And I was like, bro, use your brain. When you were at Lithgow, you had an issue with one of them, yeah? And then when you had that issue, Masi had promised that bloke that if he ever bumped into you, he would take care of you. That's what happened. You know, when Bo Jesse went back into his silly drugged up brain, he thought about it and then he yelled it, and the same thing as ex, he apologized and said, vaiusu. He goes, these guys got into my head. He goes, I was thinking to myself, why would Pete call such? I don't even know him. And I go, Uzo, who saved you the day that you got umped? And he goes to me, Jimmy Sa and Luke Akawala pulled me away, you know? And I said, that's right. I'll go, Jimmy's one of my boys. Why would he save you when if I called the shot? He would have been a part of it. That's when it all sank in and Bo Jesse realized. So to all you youngsters out there, listen clearly to this story, yeah? Because this is what happens in the gang world. They turn on you just like that. They'll call you their brother. They'll call you their comrade. They'll do rap songs with your name in it. And within 2 seconds, over some stupid allegation or over some stupid guy talking out of school, they'll turn on you straight away. You know what I mean? And I don't understand, like, if you guys are not going to learn from my experiences, like I always say, it is what it is with triggz. I've done my duty. God knows that I appreciate the opportunity that he has given me to come out of prison and to show my appreciation to God and to my parents and to my wife. I am sharing my story with the hope that you guys learn from it, because that's all I wanted. I love you. Thank you very much. I didn't know about any of this gift stuff. I came online to tell me he said that my brother and I had umped him, yeah? That's not what happened. And everyone that was there that saw it explained it thoroughly. And Essa just recently came out and explained that he was in the wrong and he was the one that started all that drama that day. The guy, he can't control himself, just like all the other young guys. He was on ice. So the whole morning, he was offering out everyone in the island here. Not just the islanders, but the Aussies. And he was complaining about missing batteries, yeah? Came to the afternoon, he was doing the same thing. And Henry, my brother, 212, he kept saying to him, bro, enough is enough. I'm sick of hearing you complaining and offering out boys. Thank you, Triple A. Thank you, Asi. Love yous. And it wasn't until the afternoon where my brother 212 Heat was sitting there and Essa had finished offering out 2 other boys in the afternoon. Thank you, love yous. That my brother got sick of it. And then my brother said, bro, enough. And Essa turned around to him, stoned off his head from ice. And he said to him, why are you saying enough, Uzo? Is it because you took my batteries? You know? Hey, what happened here? It turned off. Drag the puzzle. Oh, drag the puzzle. My brother stood up and grabbed Essa by the shirt, put him on the wall, gave him 2 uppercuts, and I jumped in, pushed my brother to the side, and I grabbed Essa and held him to the other side. And I started yelling at my brother, and I started saying to him, bro, what are you doing hitting your mate, you know? And then my brother was going up because, bro, I'm sick and tired of this. But I told him, stop smoking ice if you can't control it, because my brother and I always used to try to keep all the Islander boys off drugs, but we're not their fathers. We're not their mothers. So we're not going to tell them what to do. And whatever they did it behind the toilets, or they did it inside their cells. They would never do it in front of us. And even if they did it in an area of the yard that we could see it, we would not say anything. We would just give them brotherly advice on steering away from those heavy drugs so that they could go home clean, you know, and to their family. And so this is how iced up Essa was that day. When I pulled him aside and started going off at my brother, the officer was yelling, enough, enough, enough. And I turned around and stupidly I said to the officer, like, hey, get out of here, it's already sorted. And she kept yelling. So I started yelling and swearing at her, saying to her, piss off. Then the squad all come running. And then I ripped my shirt off and I started walking towards the squad, and there's a gate there. So when I started walking towards the squad with my shirt off, I didn't realize, but the whole yard had followed me. And remember, in this yard, there's like 27 boys. And you imagine 27 criminals just walking towards you and taking their shirt off. And all the guards were standing there and they didn't come in. And I was carrying on. And this is how iced up Essa was. When I was going off, he walked over and he whispered in my ear. And he goes, Essa, let's do it. I got your back all the way. And I was thinking, what the hell? Just like 2 seconds ago you were offering everyone out, and then you try to say that my brother stole your batteries, and now you're like, wish me I got your back all the way. You're like, this is how iced up Essa was. I tried my best to explain this to other boys. Everyone that was there on the day tried to explain it to other boys, but still, this rumor went around that my brother and I jumped in, that we were treating him like shit, and this and that and this and that. And guess what? S2F, just like OC, made their way to the top, yeah, by doing what they had to do. And just before I got out of prison, Essa was jumped by the Elmadines. Not only was he jumped by the Elmadines, he was also bashed by the Kuri boys, yeah? And everyone that keeps seeing his name and hearing his name thinks that, oh yeah, bro, he's the baddest, he's the most ruthless, he started S2F, and he's the most gangster. Let me tell you something. When Essa is straight, he's actually a good bloke. Just like the rest of the young guys that I'm telling you about who turned when they were on ice. Like we had so much fun when Essa, Peter Vai, all the boys were there, yeah? They were the two Tongan boys that were Muslim. And this is where Essa didn't use his brain. When they came into the Islander yard, they were two young guys that were Muslim, yeah? And in the Islander yard, for years, there was no Muslim boys. And if there was, these Muslim boys were not allowed to pray in the yard, because this yard was not only Christian, but it was Mormons and whatnot. And if you wanted to be a Muslim, you had to go to the Muslim yard if you were an Islander. And that's why it was beyond me when Essa turned the way he did, because when him and Peter Vai first came there, and everyone found out they were Muslim and they were getting religious friendly food, the older boys who had been there for years, they started chattering amongst each other. And I remember walking past when they said to each other, bro, there is no fucking way that these guys are going to be doing their Muslim prayers inside this yard. This is the Islander yard, and no Muslim praying is going to happen in this yard. Because I overheard it, I had to do something about it, because I considered Peter Vai, my brother, and Essa was very close with my brother. Them two were like 5'8", yeah? Everything that Henry did, Essa would follow him. So I walked over to the older boys and I told them, hey, listen, boys, I got respect for you, and no matter what, you will never lose my respect. But see those boys that you're talking about, those two Muslim boys? And they're like, yeah. And I go, boys, you can't turn on them, because if you turn on them, then I'm going to have to turn on you, like the bloodline boys, you know? And they're like, also, what do you mean? Like, are you seriously saying that you're going to start drama with us over there? I said, no, I don't want to start no drama. I don't want to have no drama. All I'm saying is they have a belief that they love, which is the Muslim religion. And if they want to pray in here, I'm going to tell you once, I'm not going to tell you again, they can pray here. You know, if you have an issue with it, then he's going to have issues with us. All right. This is when the older boys then, they went and they said, they pulled me aside and they go, Uzo, like, we love you. You're the one that does cook-ups every week. You're the one that's been taking care of the yard. And you're pretty much the one that everybody looks up to. So all good, eh? If you're going to say that Muslim boys can pray in this yard, then that's on you also, because you're in charge now. The older boys shook my hand, gave me a hug, and that was it. Muslim boys were allowed to pray in the Islander yard. First time ever, because it had never happened ever, not once, So when this thing happened between Essa and my brother, and then it blew up, that's when I was like, far out. This guy didn't even remember any of the good my brother and I did for him. He literally just turned straight away, and he turned over nothing. Like, my brother gave him 2 uppercuts. Like, he couldn't even cop that on the chin. He went and spread a rumor saying that we jumped him. I didn't even touch him. You serious? Like, if my brother and I chopped him, it'd be a different, he wouldn't have walked out of the yard, put it that way. Anyway, years later, I got locked up. In 2018, my brother and I went to prison. I did not know there was a gang called S2F. All I knew was a gang called OC. So I assumed Essa was OC, yeah? I walk into pod 10 and the whole prison is filled with OC and S2F, yeah? But remember, I didn't know there was a gang called S2F. When I walked in there, I met a few rebel boys, and then I saw other boys who I didn't know who came over and shook my hand and said hello. And at the time, I didn't realize they were S2F, yeah? So I'm kicking back, relaxing, doing my own thing, and I'm just watching out for OC guys, because any OC that turned up into my pod, I would lay them out. Any OC that I bumped into in the walkway or at visits, I would lay them out. That's just the way I was, and that's exactly the way all my guys were, you know, on site. And the officers and even the squad at Seawater would even say the same thing to me. It's funny, hey Pete, and I go, what? Because every time your guys are here at Seawater, you guys go looking for your ops. But when these guys come, they just hide in their pod where they are. And I was like, oh, wow, seriously. Because I just thought that everyone was going to visits and going to video links. So we will eventually bump into each other and everyone will do what they need to do. But nah, there's a guy named Joel Ropia. Our officer told me that this bloke, Joel Ropia, would get called for video link visits, yeah? And he would refuse to go to video link visits to see his legals, and he would refuse contact visit with his people, like with family and friends, because he was afraid that he would bump into us. When you're talking about who's real and who's not, just remember that story, yeah? And like I said, the only people who can tell you the truth about this stuff, who are not being, how do I put it, being on my side or being on the other side, are the officers. The officers, they know everything about everything, so they are the only ones who could tell the truth. But obviously, they're not allowed to, because it's their job, and they'll lose their job if they tell the stories. And so, when I was in this pod 10, and I met a few of these guys, later on, these guys left. I'm kicking back, relaxing, and then Mana Tafahema comes in, and he was asking me, who was he with you? Then I started saying, this bloke, I never met them before, but I met him for the first time. And he looked at me and he was like, wait, those guys were here with you? And I was like, yeah, why? And Mana Tafahema was like, they're S2F. And I said, what's S2F? And he goes, that's Essa's gang. I said, what are you talking about? Essa's OC. He goes, no, when you and your brother went home, he started a gang called OC. That's his crew. I said, wait, then why did they come shake my hand? And he goes, seriously, they shook your hand? I go, yeah, they were here with me for like a month. And Mana started cracking up laughing, yeah? And he goes, bro, they swear. He goes, what the? These guys called themselves freaking gangsters. He goes, they had an opportunity to get you, and they came over and shook your hand and made out they had nothing to do with nothing. And I was like, seriously? I go, Essa actually started his own gang, and he actually had people following him? And it was like, yeah, also. He goes, pretty much a lot of them were Tongan boys, but there's also Samoan boys in that crew. And now they're starting to recruit Palangi boys. And he goes, yeah, also, they blew up pretty big. And I go, wow. I always thought that it was just one gang. I didn't know there was another gang. So this is where I'm going to bring it back to you. Like, real knows real, yeah? If you're in a wing where your boss's op is at, for those of you who don't understand my slang, if you're inside a prison wing where your boss's enemy is at, you have to do what needs to be done. But guess what? These guys didn't do nothing, you know, and I'm not going to belittle them, because both of them said the same thing to me. We've heard nothing but good we've heard nothing but good about you, Pete, and we just wanted to come shake your hand and say hello. We know a few of your boys. That's exactly what they said, and I appreciated it, you know. But I was just shocked when they left, and then Mana came and he explained to me about this S2F gang. So now I'm thinking, all right, so we got to take on OC and S2F now. So the word spread, everyone be on their toes, on site, S2F and OC, because I didn't know about all of this, you know. And I found out later on that some of the S2F boys were guys that were in prison with me, so I got along with them, you know. And sorry, so many people are trying to, like, what's that thing when they try to add you so they can talk?
Request?
Yeah, they're trying to request me. Please stop requesting. Like, Just let me tell the story, yeah? I'm not going to speak to anyone. So I've had like freaking so many people trying to request me. So as time went on and the boys were getting them and also getting OC, and then all of a sudden a new gang popped up called Heartless. So Heartless was run by a guy named Menace, yeah? And guess what? This guy was my cousin. Like, my cousin is Dave Tafua. So when my family moved to Australia, we lived with Moses To'o and Charlie. Moses To'o, thank you very much, Tanisha, love you. Moses To'o was the one that ran the island yard back in the days. And when we lived with, when my brother Henry and my dad lived with them, they had to get moved to Newcastle because they needed more help. My dad doesn't really speak English and he's not good at reading and writing yet. And so Moses' brother Charlie suggested that he go and stay with the Tafua family, which was Dave Tafua's family. Yeah. They didn't stay with them, but they helped them get a place. So my brother Henry and my dad stayed in Newcastle where Moses was and Dave Tafua's family was. And so Menace is related to Dave Tafua. It's his brother or cousin. Like I never knew Dave Tafua had a younger brother except the one that played NRL. So when everyone was saying that Menace was his younger brother, I was a bit shocked, you know. But anyway, yeah, the guy's my cousin. And the reason why they started Heartless was because Franny and his guys, love you, thank you guys, made a rule in OC crew that there is not allowed to be Muslims in OC. And a lot of the younger boys who had come through prison had become Muslim, a lot of the Islander boys especially. And obviously my Menace wasn't happy with that, and then he parted ways with them. And now there was 3 gangs that we had to take on because a situation occurred when Menace and his boys, Muslim boys, were OC. And I had sent a message to my guys, I don't care what you do, just don't touch Menace because he's my cousin, yeah? My boys, 2 of my boys went to jump on a truck, yeah? Menace was on there, handcuffed, all of them were handcuffed. As they went to jump onto the truck, Menace, being the menace he is, jumped at them and he started going to town on them, yeah? And the boys obviously like, because they were all handcuffed, like fell backwards outside. Menace fell on top of them and then they all started scuffling and throwing elbows and whatnot. When you're handcuffed, that's what you do. And then the screw stopped. It was literally nothing. And the boys didn't even get hurt. It was just like one stab wound on one of the boys, yeah? But it was nothing. And then I got a message from my guys saying, Uso, this is what Menace did. And then that's when everyone decided to put a green light on Menace. And as soon as Menace got to Long Bay, he went to the wrong cell and my guys got him there, you know. It wasn't really tit for tat. It was just like we gave him leeway. He took it for granted and then the boys did what needed to be done. And then that settled him down. But these 3 gangs are still going right now. Not very strong at all 3 of them, but it's literally stupid. Essa, being the spinner he is on ice, he's been jumped several times in the last couple of months, and he was overheard yelling out to one of the Tongan boys who's in S2F, from now on in, we are not to go to war with Bloodline. From now on in, we are going to war with the Elmadines. And then his Tongan boy was on the other side. He's like, what are you talking about, Essa? He goes, bro, it's too late. Like, Bloodline's not going to let this go, bro. He goes, are you serious? And then Essa actually said it in front of everyone. He goes, bro, I'm the one who started that stupid shit. Like, I don't care anymore. He goes, I'm the boss and I call the orders. He goes, no more war with Bloodline. From now on, the war is with the Elmadines. The other Tongan boy, who I know as well, yelled at him and just and said to him, bro, do your own thing, bro, and ignored him. So now pretty much like Essa is still loved from his boys, but they pretty much pushed him aside, just like Mick Cowie was pushed aside by Buttles, and that's what happened to Essa now in prison. Like, hence the reason why he's been jumped a few times is because of that situation. And again, back to the younger generation and his whole gang loved him and his whole gang joined him. But it was drugs that brought them together, not brotherhood. Yeah? And to all of you guys who are swearing or carrying on at me on the comments, I'm just trying to tell you the truth. Like, these guys were all close, and now they've all turned on each other. And not only have they turned on each other, they've turned on their boss. So you tell me who's the spinner. You know what I mean? And like I said, this live right here is sponsored by Carol, and that's the only reason why this live is happening tonight, because Carol and her team pulled us aside today, and they wanted to work with us because they were like, we love the message that triggz is putting out there.